What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fam, 49er gang? This is your boy 49er Dion here, back with another video. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. It's an early morning game versus the Jags. We play at 11 o'clock. This is going to be a fun one, and this is one that we should not lose. So we got to take a look at some keys to the game, figure out exactly what it is we need to, make sure that we get things going in the right direction and how we can go in there and stomp the Jags out, man. So, first things first, we come off a beautiful win, man. Beautiful win. A straight up beat down, smack down, whatever you want to call it, over the Rams. We took them out and smashed them, punched them in the mouth, kicked them in the teeth, did everything and anything that we wanted to, man. And the way that we did that was by running the ball. We ran the ball 44 times. We only threw 19 times. So we went heavy on the run. We controlled TOP. I think we had the ball in almost 20 minutes more than the Rams did. And it allowed us to be able to get the victory. We ran through Elijah Mitchell. We ran with Jeff Wilson Jr. So those were the people that we chose to go ahead and make sure, ran the ball for us and kept things going. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, 2 interceptions, both by Jimmy Ward. First interception was gimme. The second interception was him being smart. He was right there at the right time to, cause a little bit of mix up with the catch and took that joint back to the house for a pick six. So that's a beautiful thing when you have a leader there that comes out, shows and proves, and he makes the defense, get up and do everything that they need to do as well. So the next thing on the board is, when it comes to the offense, man, Deebo Samuel, bro, you can't do much with him. You just can't. There's nothing you can really do with him. As much as you try to stop him, you just can't stop him. I did notice that Aaron Donald did not do an interview last week. He felt there was no need. So my thing is he didn't want to be seen because they was going to ask him about Deebo again. And that's the truth of it, man, because last year when they asked him about Deebo, what was the first thing he said? Who? So let's get this straight, Aaron. Every time you play us since Daniel Brunskill's been here, you become a non-factor. Last year when Deebo trucked your whole offensive line, and in this game he ran right through your arm tackle, you acted like you ain't know who he was. He put a stamp on you, man. And you know who he is. You know who Daniel Brunskill is, and you know who Deebo Samuel is. That's basically how this works. So no matter what you choose to do or not to do, we own, man. And we there. So all I got to say is Deebo was out there snatching change the last game. Jimmy did what Jimmy does, man. You can't be mad at him for the performance because he didn't throw any picks. He did have a couple of throws that were suspect, but it's all what we expect from Jimmy Garoppolo. There's nothing different, so we appreciate him for doing what he can and what he does, and we'll take that, to the bank. Symmetry, what's happening, man? How you doing, brother? It's been a long time, man. It's the Who Bowl every time we play the Rams now on. Yeah, man, they look they look dejected, they look beat up, they look bad. But good morning to you, Symmetry. So for this situation, man, we're gonna take a look at a couple of quick things. I'm not gonna take too much of your time up this morning, but we're gonna jump into a few things, man, and we're gonna get started with just some of the simple things with the game. If you are a betting person, currently right now ESPN has us predicted to win this matchup 64.3%. They only gave the Jags 35.5% chance to win. The betting odds, from what it says, is the spread for San Francisco is -6.5. The spread for Jacksonville is +6.5. The money line is -300 for the 49ers, +240 for the Jags. The over/under is 45.5. I do not know how to explain that because I do not gamble, so please don't ask me what to do with that. Looking at the current injury report, Dre Greenlaw is on IR. Elijah Mitchell is doubtful, but we've already known he's been ruled out. Jermichael Hasty's out. Maurice Hurst is out. So you most likely will see a lot of running between Jeff Wilson Jr. and Trey Sermon. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, we got James O'Shaughnessy, the tight end, is on IR. Brandon Linder, tight end on a center on IR. Dakota Allen, the linebacker, is out. James Robinson is questionable. So then we jump over to the points per game, and you start to and the other stats, and you start to look at the disparaging differences, and it just is what it is. So we score 24 points a game. Jags are only 16 points allowed. We only allow 2 points less than they do. We allow 23.6. They allow 25.8. We allow more total yards per game, 372. They only allow 343. We're better at we allow a little bit more in the pass and just a little bit less in the run. When it comes to everything else, man, you got to look at it. The Jags are a run-stopping team. They are, I believe, somewhere in the top 10 when it comes down to us versus them in the situation of, them going ahead and keeping that run to a low minimum. I think they're like 3.6 or 3.8 yards per carry is what they allow. So they're doing everything that they can to stop the run. The thing is you don't stop our run. The only time you stop our run is when we give up on it. Most teams usually get frustrated with it, and that's a beautiful thing because you can continue to run it down their throat, and there's nothing that they can do about it. I've seen teams stack the box. Now, if you stack the box, that only leaves you vulnerable for us to take different types of shots. If we can go out there in a 3-receiver package and have a back there, but then we wind up running the ball, you're in a nickel. So you don't have that extra defender in the box to be able to go ahead and stop things. And, everybody has to make sure that they get there to be able to do their job and do it well. Now, for us on offense, that's what I stated. Most likely we'll have Jalen Moore at right tackle. Didn't see a reason why he wouldn't play as far as the 49ers inactive. But that's the only real different wrinkle on the offensive line. Of course, Jimmy will be starting the quarterback. Like I said, Jeff Wilson Jr. is most likely going to be the starter at the running back position. When you flip to the other side of the ball, I believe Jaquiski Tartt was activated. So you'll probably see him rotated in and out of the game. I don't think they're going to put him in just automatically and give him the starting position back. Talanoa Hufanga has been playing great. There's nothing wrong with him. So I think that what they'll do is they'll rotate Tartt in to make sure that they kind of monitor that injury and make sure that he doesn't wind up having any setbacks and nothing, gets worse basically when it comes to that. And that makes sense because if you have someone who already knows the position, who's playing very well and they know the game plan, you don't want to go ahead and screw up the flow that they already have going, and Talanoa is a young kid that we drafted out of USC, and everybody was talking about his slow 40 time, which is why he didn't wind up getting drafted higher. But sometimes you got to understand people's game speed versus their 40 time is a lot different. Now, he is not by any stretch of the imagination a guy that's going to be able to keep up with the faster receivers or the super fast runners in the NFL. But the one thing he does do is he knows how to be around the play and make the play. He's got a nose for the ball. So we'll keep an eye on him. Talanoa Hufanga will continue to keep progressing. And remember, this is Tartt's last year on the contract. So, hey, you don't want to pay Tartt, you allow him to move on, go get paid somewhere else, man. And we start doing the thing with Talanoa. And I can't be mad at that. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and these are all business transactions. So when you come to take a look at Jacksonville and you look at their losses, so the first loss was by 16, next loss by 10, next loss by 12. Then you lose by 3, and that was a nail biter to the Bengals, 24-21. So the next loss is by 18. The other loss is by 24. Their last loss was by 6. So when you take a look at that, the Jags have played in total. They played not in total. I'm sorry. They played the Texans, the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Bengals, and the Titans, and they lost all of those games. Then they won and beat the Dolphins by 3. They lose to the Seahawks 31-7 in a beatdown. Then they come in and they hold the Bills' high-power offense to only 6 points, and they beat them 9-6. One thing you can say about Jacksonville's wins, it's only been by 3 points. So they're not blowing anybody out, but there's several times this year that they have been blown out. The one thing about Jacksonville that I will say I have to respect is their defense. Their offense does seem to be coming along, but it's nothing spectacular and nothing to fall out over. When you look at the statistical numbers, nothing screams that these receivers are anything to be really worried about. When you look at the statistical numbers for the running backs, that's where they try to do it. They look like they want to be more of a power running team. That's why when they drafted Travis Etienne, but then he wound up getting injured for the year, and that kind of screwed things up. And that would have definitely helped Trevor Lawrence, I think, in his transition to the NFL, strictly based on the fact that, when you got your boy there that you've been hanging out in college with, and you bring him to the NFL, it makes your life that much easier. People don't understand from a mental standpoint, the transition from college to the NFL can definitely be stressful. And if you have a friend there that's going through that transition with you, it makes your life that much easier. That's just, that's just common sense. It's like years ago in the military, they used to have the buddy system. So if you and a friend wanted to go in, you went in on the buddy system. And basically where you went, they went, or where they went, you went, however it works. So that's always a cool thing. But let's take a look here. So Jacksonville has those losses. They only have 2 wins on the season. I know they had the controversy earlier in the year with, with the situation with their head coach and all that stuff. But, hopefully that stuff is behind them. They've allowed themselves to get out there and get better. So when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and you look at the receiving core, you've got a couple of names there. You got Marvin Jones Jr., you have Laviska Shenault, you have DJ Chark still. And that's pretty much it. They got Dan Arnold at tight end. We won't count on Shaughnessy because he's not there. So their leading receiver is Marvin Jones Jr. He's got 434 yards, 3 TDs, averages about 11.4 yards per catch. Laviska Shenault Jr., 358 yards on the season, 10.2 yards, no TDs. When it comes down to DJ Chark, 154 yards, 2 TDs. So those are very pedestrian numbers from your receivers. When it comes to rushing, their number one rusher is James Robinson. Robinson has about 539 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. So he's their main runner. Then you got Carlos Hyde, of course. And you got this young kid, Jamal Agnew. Now, Agnew has come on a little bit strictly because, they may start Carlos Hyde, but Jamal Agnew had a run last week that was flat out ridiculous. Looks like his long was 66, and I believe that was it because he got that touchdown on it, man. And young kids got some afterburners on them. He turned those joints on real quick. He turned them after. Yeah, probably so. I ain't putting Marvin up against his defense, man. The sad thing about Marvin Jones is he hasn't been performing to a really, really high level, man. To be honest with you, if I was Marvin Jones, I'd have ran to LA. I'd have saw if I could get to LA as quick as possible. I'd have followed Matthew Stafford wherever he went because you already have a connection built with the guy and it makes more sense. But I don't think that they wanted to do that strictly based on the fact that they already had, people there. And they had guys that wanted to go ahead and do things. So, you lost Robert Woods for the season and look at what happened. Everybody thought OBJ was going to come in there and just rock the world and do everything like that. It don't work like that, man. It does not work like that. He wanted Wood. Oh, well, yeah. And you ain't about to get that. Robert Woods been there for years. And then at the same time, when you look at just going back to the Rams, when you look at the Rams, their receiving disparity was flat out ridiculous because basically if it ain't Cooper Kupp, it almost looks like Matthew Stafford doesn't throw the ball. Cooper Kupp had at least doubled and tripled, and I believe in certain situations quadrupled the production of just some of the other receivers on the team, whether they be tight ends or actual wide receivers. In this situation right here, man, our receivers are kind of working a little bit better. We don't have guys that are doing anything spectacular that are, out the box. But I can tell you right now, Marvin Jones has 434 yards. Deebo Samuel just in that of himself has 979 yards. So I mean, he almost about to double him. Deebo's definitely breaking the 1,000-yard mark this season. I believe he'll be our first 1,000-yard receiver since Anquan Bolden. But Deebo does have 979 yards, 5 TDs, and he's averaging 18.1 yards per catch. And then when we flip to the other side of the ball, of course, Elijah Mitchell is not playing in this game. He's our leading rusher, though. 560 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, five big runs, and 3 TDs. The other guys we have, Trey Sermon, Deebo Samuel. When he runs, they put him in there. Deebo's got 2 TDs as a rusher, so he's got 7 on the season in total. And I mean, basically, his scrimmage yards amount up to over 1,000 yards if you combine his rushing and receiving yards. But this game, most likely, like I said, will be held down by Jeff Wilson Jr. and Trey Sermon. I don't see them, going ahead and putting anybody else out there because we don't really have anyone else. Jimmy Garoppolo will be the guy to lead us in this game. He had a good game last week. 2 touchdowns, I think about 178 yards. It's not that much. Yes, he could hit 2,000 all-purpose yards. Yeah, and that would be flat out insane, man. There's a few guys I think that have done it or gotten close to it, and it's definitely a rarity, man, when you see somebody get those kinds of yardage. From an offensive standpoint, man, I don't see us losing anything. They do run a 3-4, so they have outside linebackers. And the biggest question I can say is, Deebo might get some more carries in this game to compensate for it. He might, but I would hope symmetry that they give that to Trey Sermon, strictly based on the fact that we haven't seen Trey Sermon since I don't even remember when. And there's nothing that says he's injured, he's hurt, anything. So it's weird, but that was my biggest thing. Like the minute JaMycal Hasty came back, Trey Sermon had to take a seat. And ever since JaMycal Hasty has been healthy, you haven't seen Trey Sermon at all. So you had Elijah Mitchell. Then Jeff Wilson came back, So as soon as Jeff Wilson comes back, it buries Trey Sermon further on the depth chart. So I don't know what happened, why they're not playing them. Nobody's talking about it. No one's really asked. And then when you do ask, they always give some BS situation. Oh, well, Sermon did this or Sermon did that, or, he's not working as hard. Like whenever players aren't playing or they're not getting enough time or they're not getting targets, they always they put it on the player. Well, they're not pushing as hard in practice. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Trey Sermon is a playmaker. There's nothing about Trey Sermon that said he should have been, pretty much benched and pushed down the depth chart and, into the abyss. But for whatever reason, I don't know, man. Kyle, maybe Bobby Turner. I don't know. I don't know who's making that decision, but whoever it is, you got to get it together, man, because we're going to need them in this game. Flip to the other side of the ball for the Jacksonville defense. Their main protagonist would be keeping it a buck. It's going to be Josh Allen, man. Young kid out of Kentucky. Him and Nick Bosa were drafted in the same year. So it's definitely going to work. Symmetry says I'd like to see at least 15 for Jeff, 10 for Sermon, and 5 for Debo/Ayuk. I'd probably rather stick with this Debo and not Ayuk. Ayuk doesn't really do good on those jet sweeps. For some reason, it doesn't work. I think Debo is just more accustomed to him, so I'd probably have him do that. But at the same time, I'd rather go with seeing a little bit of, a little bit more of Trey Sermon, man. Yeah, give Jeff, his carries. He gonna start. But get Trey Sermon in there, mix him up. And I know this is like a bang-bang 1-2 punch, both power guys that can run between the tackles, but that's how you wear a defense down. All you need, honestly, is 3 to 4 yards per carry. And you could do that 3 times in a row. You got a first down, and you can walk down the field, take your time. And the more that defense is on the field, the more tired they are. But once again, I was looking at it, man, and I remember back when we had the opportunity to draft either Josh Allen and or Nick Bosa, and I know they were pretty much sold on Bosa. I was not sold on Bosa for my own personal reasons. Oddly enough, that's like one of my most watched videos. That is my most watched video, period. I got like over 1,000 views on it, and people still comment on it here and there. But For me, I would have rather had Josh Allen just because I know Josh Allen was going to play consistently year in and year out. And everybody was like, "Oh, well, you can't keep faulting people for injuries." I'm like, I'm not. I'm just pointing out a fact: injury prone, injured in high school, injured in college, already injured in the NFL. And I already understand that the turf was bad, but at the end of the day, the guy misses games. This year, Nick Bosa has been balling out. When it comes to Josh Allen, ever since he's been in the NFL, he's played, consistently. And right now, young man balling. He is doing this thing. Josh Allen has 41 tackles, 5.5 sacks. He got 8 tackles for a loss, 4 passes defense, an INT. You know what I'm saying? Like he got a fumble recovery. Like this young man ain't nothing to scoff at, people. So don't think that, you get to sleep on him and it just is what it is. When you look at the other guys on the defense, man, you got Dwayne Smoot. He's got 3.5 tackles, so that's a guy to look out for. 4 tackles for a loss. The other guys that have sacks are Adam Gostis, the defensive end, and Taven Bryant, another defensive tackle. So you got you got 4 sacks between them, 2 each. You got Dwayne Smoot and you got Josh Allen. So those are the guys that you want to be mindful of. You got Shaquille Griffin. He used to play over with the Seahawks, so we're very familiar with him. Caleb Chason, man, he's only got 20 tackles. He's got 1 sack. He's got 4. He's only got 2 TFLs. He has not been what they wanted as far as the first round pick goes, and it just has not panned out for him. Miles Jack, my guy from UCLA, 55 total tackles, 3 TFLs. But other than that, very pedestrian numbers for him. No passes defense, no sacks, things like that, and you expect that from certain people. But those are the 2 people that you really truthfully worry about on that 3-4 defense is Miles Jack and Josh Allen. Keeping it a buck, I think Josh Allen's going to start to line up on the other side of the ball strictly based on the fact that he wants to test Jalen Moore and or Tom Compton. Hopefully, Miles Jack is definitely a problem. He wants to test Jalen Moore and or Tom Compton, and that's basically what it is. If something goes wrong with Moore, they put Compton in. But the thing is with that, they don't want to give anybody a chance to really test Tom Compton, so they've been making it. The last game they made it a point to get the ball out quick, do things they need to do. To be able to make sure that they didn't have to guard and block for a very, very long time, for a long period of time. You typically don't want your line blocking. If it's a passing situation, you don't want to block it for more than probably about 2 to 4 seconds. Because after that, man, somebody can put a move on you and get you out of there. And it gets tiring, man. You got to hold up a whole nother human being coming at you full throttle. It's definitely not a easy task. So when it comes down to it, those are the 2 dudes that you worry about, Miles Jack and Josh Allen. And you got to keep your eye on these other cats that I named, Dwayne Smoot and stuff like that. Symmetry says slide protection to the right, help block Allen, and let the silverback handle the weak side rusher on his own. Yes, sir. You are correct. That is exactly how you do it. And they will do that. I think they will make sure that they slide the protection that way because the left side of the line is not an issue. Lakin and Trent, they got that held down over there. And Trent don't lose too many battles if he loses any battles at all. So from an offensive standpoint, man, I honestly think you just see a ton of Debo, a ton of running, and you get a sprinkle of George Kittle in there and a little bit of Ayuk in there, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing, man. We're gonna use those 3 dudes. We're gonna make it happen, and things are gonna keep progressing. I hope that we do get to see some more Juwan Jennings, and let's pray that Jimmy is on time with his throws because there was at least 3 throws I can count from last week where he was going to Jennings and it didn't click, man. Those throws honestly coming from Trey Lance probably would have worked better, but just because they have a rapport. Same thing with Trent Sherfield. They have a rapport. So it definitely gets a little frustrating because you got a couple of guys that can possibly produce and do some things for you, but it just winds up back at square one because Jimmy, he usually throws the guys that he messes with. If he's ran with you, if he's played with you, if he knows how you work, then that's usually how he sticks to it. On defense for us, usual suspects, man. You got Fred Warner out there. You got Azeez Al-Shaair, who's been playing fantastic. You got Nick Bosa right there. We're probably going to keep working in Omenihu. and keep him rolling. We'll keep the Hogs in the middle going the same way. Probably going to be using Armstead and DJ Jones. But he says, Symmetry says, look for Dweller to have a nice day as they'll be giving Kittle bracket coverage most of the day. Yeah, they're probably going to try to cover up Kittle. Yeah, they're going to try to cover up Kittle a lot because the one thing is Kittle's probably the most complete tight end from a blocking and receiving standpoint. But the issue is you don't want him to get going receiving because then at that point, Kyle starts giving up different shit because he sees that he can take advantage of that weakness on the defense. Other than that, you just don't want to get blocked by Kittle because he runs anybody into the ground. It's like having an extra offensive lineman when he's out there blocking. It truthfully is. But when it comes to the defense, those are the guys. You got your Jimmy Wards, your Emmanuel Mosleys. Josh Norman had an okay game, but one thing, Mr. Norman, do not keep trying to jump. You do not have the hops. That is not what you do. You've never been known for jumping high and picking the ball off. So please be careful this game. They can hold down those guys, man. I think Marvin Jones Jr., you got to be a little worried about. Laviska Shenault, they kind of use him like Debo to an extent. So you got to be mindful of him coming around on these jet sweeps. And then the kid Agnew for the defense, we got to be really, really mindful of him. Do not let him get past you because if he does, he's going to turn those afterburners on again and be out of here. Like that run he had last week, man, put me on notice that young man is quick. He's got that first step is nasty. So it kind of reminds me, a little bit of him as far as like how he, his speed just goes insane once he takes off. The only difference between him and anyone else in the league is his first step is so disgusting. And once he gets skinny in that hole, you can kiss him goodbye. Much love to him. Hope he gets healthy. But here's the thing. As far as the squad goes, we definitely should win this game. I don't have a real score prediction. I'll throw one out there just for shits and giggles. I would say probably we win this game. I played it on Madden twice, and I beat the crap out of them. So I'll say we probably win this game. Probably the same score, like, 31-10, 36-10, something like that. We don't give up a lot on defense, and we definitely go out there and punch the Jags in the mouth. It's not about overlooking them, but at the same time, it's just understanding we are the superior team, and we should be winning this game. There's no reason that we should lose at all. I don't see anything from the Jags that says anything scary over the top, besides them having a really good run defense. If they do stop that and it does force Jimmy to throw the ball, that's going to be a bit of an issue, only because we don't need Jimmy to throw the ball a lot. If we keep Jimmy at about 20 to 25 throws at a max, that'd be more comfortable for me. If he has to go over that and they really force us to throw the ball because we just cannot run, it's going to be a long day, guys, because I do not want to, have him throwing against a 3-4 defense strictly because Jimmy seems to love to throw linebackers, and we know this to be a fact because it's happened before. Symmetry says, glad to have Shark Williams back at nickel, fully healthy. Him and Ward make the secondary hard to beat. That's very true. Shark will definitely keep a good eye on the people that they try to throw into the slot. And believe me, they don't run a lot of 3 receiver sets. So you'll probably see a little more Mosley and Norman. But hopefully things will work out. And maybe, if anything, we can get to see some of these young kids. We might get to see a little Diamador Lenore, possibly even possibly a little bit of Ambry Thomas. Some of these guys that we drafted high are just ghost. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely frustrating when it comes down to it, man. Trey Lance getting no PT, not even little packages for him. Aaron Banks has not played a game, been worth nothing. Trey Sermon played a little bit, and now he's just, for some ungodly reason, in Kyle's doghouse for whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Ambry Thomas never played a game, and then after that, that's when you start to see the dudes that play. So our later round picks get more time than the people that we pick higher than them. So I'm not one to buy this, them getting people ready for next year and, guys need to do this or do. Nah, bro, don't waste those picks then. Don't do that. Because if Aaron Banks is going to sit down all season and that was what you envisioned for him, then you could have drafted Asante Samuel Jr. We could have had cornerback help. We would have never had guys like Drake or Patrick. We would have never had to go rummaging through the trash to find Buster Screen and, all these other people. We had to get a bunch of different DBs in here because you guys were just, not very smart with the drafting process. But it is what it is. Like I said, we probably 31-10, 34-10, something in that range. But I do have the 49ers winning this game. The other thing, we are undefeated on the road. We just got our first home win in over a year. But on the road against meager teams, we win. We beat the Lions on the road. We beat Philly on the road. We beat who else did we beat on the road? I am at a loss right now. But we beat the Lions. We beat Philly. Let me go to the 49ers home because I know we beat someone else. We only have 4 wins, and the other win was the Rams. Yes, so we beat the Lions, we beat Philly, and we beat the Bears. All on the road, all teams that do not have winning records, unfortunately. Now, I know that it's definitely not a good thing when you're always beating up on the weak teams, but hey, I get it. Yeah, thanks to them, the Bears. I get it. You take advantage, and you only play whoever is in front of you. So, I gotta respect teams whenever they play whoever's in front of them because they don't make their schedule up. Schedule comes to them, they can wind up winning and getting things done. And I mean, hey, you take advantage of it, bro. If I got a season in front of me where most of my teams that I played did make the playoffs and there's nothing that they did in the offseason to make themselves any better, why am I going to be upset about that? That means I play against easier competition that makes my life that much easier, and I do whatever I need to do. So that's going to end it here for me, man. We're about the 32-minute mark. I appreciate you, Sim, for coming and hanging out with your boy early morning. Peace and blessing to you, brother. Hopefully everything is going good where you at. Continue to do what you do. And all you 49er fans out there, when you do view this video, I do appreciate you. Thank you so much for helping your boy out. Just continue to get those views up. Definitely hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I'm out. Go Niners. And this should be an easy dub today, guys. We should not have a hard time fighting with the Jags about this. At a bare minimum, we should be able to take care of this game easily and be able to go home and get some rest and get ready for the Vikings. Peace.